Now, as I mentioned, of course, at the start, Anzac Day is about commemorating those who served to defend our values. This afternoon, I spoke with the LNP member for Herbert, Phillip Thompson. Herbert takes in the garrison city of Townsville. I started by asking him how his day had unfolded and what it's been like commemorating Anzac Day in his hometown.
It's a day of reflection. It's a day where we remember the many that have paid the ultimate sacrifice on the battlefield, my mates who've paid the ultimate sacrifice in war, and those who've succumbed to their war within back here on home soil. In Townsville today we had the dawn service. It's quite an emotional time. There's a lot of mixed feelings. Today's also the anniversary of when a good friend of mine, Brad Carr, died by suicide. Brad was born on Remembrance Day and he died on Anzac Day. So it's a tough time, mate, and it's a tough time for many, but the way that we soldiers kind of get through these days is linking in together, talking with your mates, catching up and reminiscing on the good times and some of the bad, but it's about us being together on a day like today.
And has that been easier this year and better this year than the past couple of years because of easing COVID restrictions?
We were very fortunate last year to be able to also have an Anzac Day in Townsville. I know other places around the country didn't get to do that. I was quite critical of state governments at the time because they were allowing football to go ahead but not Anzac Day. This is a sacred day, and this is a day that we pay our respects for the sovereignty that we have, and we enjoy the freedoms we have, and to acknowledge and reflect on those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, people who have been killed on operations, fighting for this country in the name of this nation. I think we should continue to have Anzac Days, not have restrictions or have to have an Anzac Day at the end of your driveway, because we should be linking up with our mates, catching up, having a beer, but it's about that togetherness and coming together to kind of that peer support.
Phil, I've got to say, I find it very comforting, and I know many of our viewers would too, very comforting that we have veterans in Parliament, that people who have served our nation on the field of battle then go on to serve our nation in Parliament. And of course the Assistant Defence Minister, Andrew Hastie, is a former SAS officer, and yourself as a veteran, having served in the field and now serving in the Parliament. Can you tell us about the continuity or the differences, the different perspective that brings when you deal with that political service as well?
Yeah, it's a great honour to be able to continue to serve the Australian people and the good people of Townsville in Parliament. I was very fortunate to be in the Defence Force here in Townsville and served in East Timor in Afghanistan. I was wounded in action in Afghanistan in 2009. I was blown up by an IED, and I went through a real bad time. I was on a very turbulent trajectory. I was on a roller coaster of post-traumatic stress disorder as well as my other injuries. To get into the Parliament after bouncing back and getting back to what my normal is now is a great honour, because I take what I've learnt from my military service, which is to always speak up and always do the right thing and to own any wrongdoings that we've done, but none of us are perfect. And I've got a lot of good friends in Parliament now, like Gavin Pearce, the member for Braddon. He was an RSM at 7C. You said Andrew Hastie. We actually served together in Afghanistan in 2009. We've got Vince Connolly, who was a captain from 2RAR. Even Warren Ench, you wouldn't know this, but Warren Ench was also served as well. We've been very fortunate to have a decent number of veterans in the coalition that we can talk to. But my job, I'm a fighter, and I put Townsville first, but I put veterans and defence personnel first, regardless of where they are in the country. And that's why we advocated for binning of the Tiger to get the Apache, the MH90 to get the Black Hawk. It's about having that experience to be able to go, well, hey, Minister Dutton, come over here. Let me tell you why this is better equipment for our soldiers. Because at the end of the day, we need to make sure that the best kit, that our soldiers have the best kit so they can serve us well in operations, and then also look after them if anything bad happens or if they need Veterans Affairs help.
Now, you mentioned Defence Minister Peter Dutton. Of course, part of commemorating war and war service is the concept of eternal vigilance, and he's used very strong language about the situation with China. He's again made references to the 1930s as a period of great ominous military build-up and strategic tensions. The Prime Minister's talked about a red line over any military bases from China in Solomon Islands. Just how tense is it at the moment, and just how realistic is it or appropriate is it to be talking about these immediate strategic and defence challenges on Anzac Day?
It's extremely important to highlight this threat. That's what it is. It's a threat. And the biggest threat to our national security is China. And you wouldn't be able to find a veteran anywhere that wouldn't think that as well. We know that China poses a threat to the Pacific. We see what they're doing in the Solomon Islands. And to be honest, mate, it's a cash grab for the Solomon Islands. And we've done a lot of work there. We've spent many, many years. The Australian soldiers have been helping out the Solomon Islands people, as well as our AFP and other humanitarian efforts. China came in with a bucket load of cash to create an agreement, but we've seen them in other nations build ports, military-style ports. They are a threat to Australia, and China poses a threat here, and we need to be highlighting it. We need to be talking about it. We need people to be aware of these threats.
Yeah, Phil, I want to read to you a quote from a commentator. This is not from a university protester or some far green left protester. This is a bloke who used to be the president of the Canberra Press Gallery, a bloke who used to be the national political editor for Channel 10, a bloke who used to be a regular ABC political commentator. He now writes for the Saturday paper, Paul Bongiorno. And what he's written is, I wonder how many rednecks in Queensland's coal seats think that Dutton and Morrison bashing the crap out of China, their meal ticket for the past few decades, is a good idea. Morrison won't appease China. He has no idea about diplomacy, reality or the national interest. Surely nobody should be looking to appease China.
No, we shouldn't. And who is this guy? Like some commentator who now becomes the national security expert. You know, that's terrible language, and to start calling people rednecks in Queensland, you know what? Well, he can sit down with his latte sipping lefty mates down in Melbourne or wherever he's from, because that's pathetic. That's pathetic commentary. We know that, and we've just seen recently Richard Marles and what he's done with sharing a speech with the Chinese embassy. Like, these are things that you wouldn't expect a politician to be doing. We need to put our sovereignty first. We need to put Australians first. And if that means pushing China back and saying, no, we won't be doing this anymore, no, you won't be doing influencing us or demanding or anything like that, then we will do that, and we must do that. And Scott Morrison did that straight away with the coronavirus. He cancelled flights, first country in the world to cancel flights out of China. And I think that we need to be strong in our language, and we need to send a very clear message to every nation, including China, that we won't be bullied, we won't be pushed around, because our sovereignty and our nation and our national security comes first. Now, this person making comments like that is pretty disgusting commentary, and it's just sounds like a Greens Labor playbook trying to undermine the national security, but then to attack Queenslanders and Queenslanders who are in coal seats. You know, mate, you're not welcome here.
Phil Thompson, thanks so much for your service, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me, mate.
Yeah, there you go. Paul Bongiorno, just so typical of the sort of green left mindlessness that dominates so much of Twitter and so much of the media, frankly. Now, the eagle-eyed among you will have noticed that in that interview I didn't have that rosemary sprig on. I recorded it earlier and hadn't got that on time, so apologies for that, and well done if you picked that up.